the floor to you, Filippo.
Thank you so much, Caterina. Thank you so much for inviting me to the consortium. And hi, everyone. Thank you so much for the time. I'm super excited to share with you the project that I did recently. So let me just share the screen. Can you see the presentation?
Yes, that's perfect.
Amazing. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be talking about SharkTrack, which is a software that we developed to help the analysis of underwater videos. Especially, we developed it to process videos of sharks and rays and analyze it 20 times faster. I know that in this audience, there's going to be some ecologists who are interested in the ecological application of AI, and some machine learning people who may be interested more on the development side of it. So I'm going to try to address both of these people in this talk. So I'm going to start by just talking about what SharkTrack is, how we can help you. And I'm going to give you an overview on how you can download it and run it on your videos. And then on the second part, I'm going to dive a bit deeper into the technical details and talk about how it was developed and evaluated, how we can support further development of fish AI, and also about some future frontiers of this model. I already saw some familiar faces, so amazing to see them. I would really like if you could turn on the camera, if it's okay with recording it, just because it really helps me understand how to tailor the discussion based on your face reaction. So without further ado, let's dive deeper into the software. I want to have it as interactive as possible. So instead of just sharing slides, I would like to just head over to the documentation of the software. But before doing it, let me just introduce myself. As Caterina said, and as everybody in this call, I imagine, I'm a big ocean lover, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time into it. But I'm also quite a big geek. So I did a computing degree at Imperial College, which was an integrated master on computing with a focus on AI. And there I really liked the idea of making technology helpful to the real world. So I worked quite a bit on at a big tech company that focused on taking advanced tech and deploying it to real world problems, from preventing child abuse to mitigating climate change and helping with sustainable aviation fuel. And after working there, I'm trying to transfer these skills to my passion, the ocean, by focusing on monitoring and protecting marine biodiversity. So let's start diving into SharkTrack. As I said, I would like to have it interactive. So if you want to follow along, please feel free to head over to this website to follow the instructions. I'm going to do it myself, but I'm firstly going to clear all the Zoom links. There you go. So we can go to the website, which is varini.com. And here on the landing page, if you scroll down, you're going to see under projects SharkTrack. So you can click on it and you're going to land on the page that describes SharkTrack. If you scroll down, it's just going to tell you all about it. But basically, at its core, it's a AI enhanced pipeline to analyze underwater videos of sharks and rays. It can be BRAVs, so a commonly used technique to monitor elasmobranchs, which is sharks and rays, but it can also be any other underwater stationary video. The software was developed to address the problem of very time-consuming manual analysis of these videos. And it's intended to not only be an isolated AI model, but be an end-to-end pipeline that converts the videos into the MaxN. And the MaxN is the metrics used by ecologists to analyze videos of sharks and rays. Basically, it is the highest number of individuals of the same species appearing in the same frame. So for example, if we look at here, these are amazing gray reef shark, and you can see that we have 5 gray reef shark. If that's the highest number that we see in the video, then the MaxN is 5. How it can be useful. So first of all, it analyzes videos 21 times faster than traditional methods. Secondly, it can detect any elasmobranch species in any location with 89% accuracy. It is important to note that the model only has one classification, elasmobranch. It does not classify the species itself, but this classification elasmobranch works with any species. And then the last point is that it can run on any standard laptop. You don't need any particular computational resource, and you also don't need technological expertise. You don't even need Wi-Fi. You can just download the model and run it whenever. So how does the software work? Let's imagine you just came back from an expedition and you have a hard drive with 200 hours of videos. What you can do is you can connect it to the model, and the model automatically processes all the videos. It then gives you an output with two things. The first thing is an Excel file that has all the sightings of every elasmobranch in every video. The second thing, which is most interesting, is one screenshot for every individual elasmobranch that it found. Let me give you an example. If you see here, what the model does is it not only detects the elasmobranch, but it also tracks it across the frames. That is helpful because then SharkTrack shares with you only one screenshot for every shark. So you can see ID 14 is going to tell you one screenshot. And you can think about it as a colleague that watches the videos and then sends you via email screenshots saying, I found all these sharks, what are the species? So this is the first step of the analysis pipeline, and this is all automatic. Once you have this, you can manually look at these screenshots and classify the species by just renaming the file. As you can see, this is the original file name, 1.jpg, JPG, 2.jpg, and this is the new file name with the species classification. SharkTrack will use this information to reflect the classification on all the sightings and then compute the max-n with species classification. So why is that helpful? Firstly, this pipeline reflects the analysis of videos that is currently done. So you can use it to just analyze the videos like you're doing it right now, but doing it much faster. But it is also helpful in another way, and that's called peak mode. That's basically, instead of just analyzing the footage, you just have a lot of videos and you're interested to know if sharks appear, when they appear, and in which video they appear. So in that case, you're not doing the fully fledged analysis. You're just using the model to tell you when and how sharks and rays appear. So if you're interested in these use cases, you can jump over to the guide to install it and run it. But before doing this, I just want to say that SharkTrack uses Python, and I'm aware that some ecologists might be more familiar with R than Python. But this is not a problem. The guide, it's fully detailed and step-by-step, and it allows to have SharkTrack up and running in less than 10 minutes, regardless of the experience with Python. And the majority, for example, of these institutions who have used SharkTrack don't have experience with Python, but we saw that it's quite easy to deploy the model and use it on your videos. Also, before proceeding, I just want to say that this was a collective effort of so many people that I'm thankful for and that you can find here. And also, please, if you're using SharkTrack in your work, cite it as showed here. So again, if you're interested in using the software to analyze your videos, you can go to the guide, which tells you how to download and run the software. Before doing this, please fill in this form. It's just 30 seconds. You just tell the organization, your name, your email, and where you're planning to use the model. We're just sharing the model for free, but it helps us to know where and who is using it so that we can support you and spotlight you on our website. But anyway, so this page guides you to the first step, and that is how I can download an AI model and how I can run it on my videos to automatically detect sharks and rays. So first of all, you need Python 3.9 installed. If you don't have it, that's totally fine. You can install it here. this is the guide and it's super easy. Secondly, once you have it, it's time to download the model. You can click on the link here, and then you just go to the latest version and you download the zip code. Once it's downloaded, you can go to the download folder and extract it. And as soon as it's extracted, I suggest to moving it to the desktop. Now you have SharkTrack ready to run. It's just time to download the software to make it runnable. So to do this, you need to open the command prompt. I'm on Mac, so to do this, I go to services and I do a new terminal folder. But on the documentation, there is the all information on how to do it on Windows and other machines. And there is also the information on how to download the packages, as I said. I have already done it, and so for the interest of time, I'm gonna skip over it. But basically, once you have it, you are ready to run SharkTrack on your videos. So I have here another example of SharkTrack where I already downloaded all the related software. So I can use it to share it with you. Basically, what we can do is you, again, open it at the terminal and you activate it just by copying this code. So I'm on Mac or Linux and I just copy the code and I download it and I activate it. In this case, I'm just gonna rewrite it. Activating a software is the same thing as turning on a machine before running it. Now I'm turning it on. So in this case, I need to deactivate it first. And I can do it now to go activate. So in case it doesn't run, you can just remove the environment and then re-download it. But for the first interest in time, we can just skip it. But basically, you can go to this documentation anytime to run the model. And you can run the model by just saying python app.py. What that means is you are telling the software to run a specific Python file and analyzing your videos. And that would then ask you some information. You can say where you have your videos, and this can be an external hard drive, it can be a folder on your machine. But you can also say whether you have stereo videos and whether you only want to analyze the left or the right ones. You can say where you want the output to be saved, and you can have many different information that you can configure here.
I'm quite happy just to crack on with it.
Yeah, just ask.
This would set up the algorithm and it will start running on all your software. And it will produce an output which is something like this. As I said, you're going to have an Excel file with all the sightings, and then you're going to have a folder with screenshots of sharks and rays that it found. Now we are done with the first part. It is time to compute the max_n. To do this, let me just minimize Zoom link. To do this, you basically just need to go through these screenshots and tell the software what species it is. So we can just do it by renaming the file name. As you can see on the top right corner, this file name is called 0-elasmobranch. I can rename it by just putting the species. In this case, it's a silky shark. And I can use any name that I want. For example, this is Firnia lewini. It's a hammerhead shark. And I can just put SL as an abbreviation. So this is another Firnia lewini, and this is the last Firnia lewini. It is also important to note that sometimes the model gets wrong. So for example, this is a turtle and it's imagining it's an elasmobranch. In this case, you can just tell SharkTrack that it is not an elasmobranch by removing the file, as easy as this. And once you have the reviewed output, you can go to the guide, to the next step guide, and follow this step to compute max_n. What that will give you is the Excel file and screenshot of where it found the shark and which species they are. And then you can use that Excel file for your further analysis down the line and potential papers. So this is how to use the software. Let me go back to the presentation. How it can help you. As I briefly mentioned, Firstly, it's helpful on a field trip to quickly process the data. So basically, imagine you come home after a day of sampling with hours of videos. You can run the software overnight, and the next day when you wake up, you can see where sharks and rays happened. And that's helpful for generating an instant field report or sharing it with the internal or external team. The cool thing is that the same output is very useful when you then go back in the office and you want to do the fully fledged video analysis. Because instead of watching the videos, it has already been watched by the model. So you can just review it, classify the species, and then output the Maxent file. This gives you the final Browse analysis. Diving deeper into how this model was developed, as I mentioned, the computer vision model does not classify the species. It only classifies elasmobranchs. However, it uses another algorithm which tracks the same elasmobranchs to then allow a faster species classification. This algorithm is called multi-object tracking software. And again, it only tracks the individual as long as it's in the frame. So for example, if this shark leaves the frame and then enters again, it's gonna assume that it's a new individual. Also, as expected, the model has challenges in turbid water. For example, in this image, as you can see, there is actually another shark on the bottom left, which the model didn't find. However, it is very easy to download and run on a commodity laptop and doesn't need Wi-Fi, as mentioned before. We developed it this way because our goal was to make it as usable by shark and rays scientists as possible. And one key concept to achieve this in machine learning is to generalize models, especially in computer vision. There is a challenge in generalizing the models across locations because the water quality and the habitat just changes so much in the ocean. So to achieve this generalizability, we had an amazing collaborations of 11 institutions and amazing scientists with whom we collected data from all around the world that we used to train the AI model. That helped us give us representations of as many habitats that we could find, with the goal of allowing the model to also perform in new habitats. So let's imagine I'm Italian. Let's imagine I want to run the model in Italy. Although it doesn't have, it hasn't been trained with data coming from Italy, it has been trained with data coming from so many different locations that we expect it to perform in Italy as well. And we tested it. So we collected 200 hours of Browse videos from 3 locations that were not seen by the model during training. And this is the Red Sea, the Caribbean, and the Maldives. And you can see how the environment is different. These videos had already been annotated and analyzed by experts. And we compared those annotations with the one generated with SharkTrack. What did we find? First of all, we found that it analyzes videos with 89% accuracy. We also found that it analyzed them 21 times faster. But the coolest thing for me is that we found that in 7% of the cases, SharkTrack found sharks or rays where analysts did not find it, like in this example here. And this for me is super interesting, because it demonstrates how the union of human expertise and AI can achieve much better results than human or AI alone. Let's think about it. If we just use an AI, it's never going to have a high accuracy, and it's never going to be able to fully automate the analysis process. However, with these results, we also found that human analysis is not 100% accurate. However, the human experts can use AI to detect cases when they did not find the sharks. And doing so, the AI enhances their workflow by increasing their accuracy and reducing the analysis time. At the same time, we also found other challenges that SharkTrack faces. First of all, as demonstrated before, difficult condition like turbid water, it's just difficult for computer vision model. We quantified that there is a 10% accuracy drop when there is high water turbidity. So it is 89% accurate. You should expect it to be around 80% accurate. Secondly, because marine environment changed so much, the model might interpret this algae, for example, as a shark, because maybe in another environment, something that looks like an algae is actually a shark. So it's often the case that you run the model on your data, and the model gives you many screenshots of detections that are not really sharks or rays. But in this case, you can just remove it by deleting the file. So it's a very quick process, as we saw with the turtle example. And the final challenge of SharkTrack is when we have a high abundance of sharks and rays. This is for two reasons. First of all the individuals just swim all around the frame. And so it's difficult for the algorithm to detect all of them. So you can see there is a fin here that is lost, and there is also another shark here that is not detected by the algorithm. But secondly, the biggest challenge is that it just takes a lot of time to annotate so many individuals found. This is also a challenge of classifying species from videos without AI, but we want to overcome this challenge. And our idea to overcome this challenge is to extend SharkTrack to achieve species classification. So as I mentioned, SharkTrack does only detect elasmobranchs and not classify their species. However, it can be used to then train it to classify your own species and be accurate in your conditions. And this is something that I want to put forward in this webinar. So it's an amazing consortium of people developing AI for fish, so Fish AI Consortium. And SharkTrack can support the development of future AI models. How? This is the pipeline of SharkTrack. And this is what you would use to annotate your videos. So even if you're not interested in developing fish AI models at all, this is what you would do. But the same process can be used to generate an AI-ready training dataset with bounding boxes and species annotations. This dataset can be generated with very minimal further effort, and it can be used by you to train further species classifiers. So let's come back to the Italian use case. Let's imagine I'm interested in fish AI, and I'm interested in analyzing videos, underwater videos in Italy. I can use SharkTrack, and that already allows me to analyze them faster. But if I want to go one step further and develop species classifiers of species of sharks and rays, I can just take the cleaned output of SharkTrack and train my own model in it that extends SharkTrack with further classification. And I think this is a cool concept, and it's something that we could replicate beyond shark classification to make the development of AI models in the ocean domain faster. So this is what SharkTrack is at the moment. We are very interested in 3 different future frontiers. So the first one, as mentioned in the previous slide, is using the retraining process to develop a bigger and bigger species classifier model. It's amazing because in so many seminars from this consortium, we saw people interested in developing bigger species classifiers, and we would like to contribute to this community, especially with sharks and rays that we are focusing on. So our idea, for example, is imagine you're using SharkTrack to analyze your own videos. You could then share with us the cleaned output, and we could train a species classifier that you can then use in your location. And together we could open source this model so as to contribute to the community developing these broader species classifiers. A second direction that we are very interested is using AI to predict length. As it was discussed in the previous webinar in the Fish AI Consortium, length is such an important measure and currently is done manually with stereo cameras. But there has been some preliminary work in automatic pose estimation with AI and also in getting an estimation of the length with just a single camera and not two cameras mounted on two different positions. And the final avenue that we're interested in is identifying individuals. There has been amazing previous work in using AI to classify sharks at the individual level using scars and skin patterns. And it would be amazing if we could develop a fully automatic way to identify individuals, just like it's doing for whale sharks, but without the need of manual selection of all the interesting spots. If you're interested or if you're working in any of these areas, please reach out. We'd love to collaborate and explore potential avenues that we can develop these models to contribute to the community. I hope I was on time. Thank you so much for the Fish AI Consortium for letting me speak. And thank you so much for Imperial and the Biomedia Lab and the Turing Scheme for supporting my research. And thank you so much for all the NGOs where we tested the model, especially Pelagius Kakunha, where we were able to stay months iterating with the software and making it as smooth as possible for conservation. Thank you.
Thank you, Filippo. It was a great talk and right on time. Yeah, thank you. So we have 2 questions in the chat, but please go ahead and raise your hand and ask the questions. I think from what I understood, Filippo prefers this interaction, but I can also read the questions if your microphone, for example, doesn't work. Just does anyone have anyone would like to start?
Yeah, thank you for the good presentation. And it's exciting to see what you have achieved. And my question is rather simple and straightforward. Since, as I can see, the input is a video, can also images be the input of this system?
So right now is only for videos. But if you're interested in images, then you just shoot me an email, and then we can extend the model to also classify images. Please also let me know the motivation for it, so that we can also extend it to further use cases.
Yeah, thanks. And one follow-up question on this is that how did you measure the accuracy against the width? Like how you measure the accuracy?
Yeah. So there was a paper in January 2024 on a similar note of AI for underwater video analysis, with the focus on this max-n matrix, which is the matrix currently used by ecologists to analyze videos. And this paper defined the max-n accuracy, which is basically a comparison between the max-n generated by the model and the max-n computed by analysts. And by comparing it, you can basically just estimate how many of those max-n estimations were correct in relation to the experts one, and then generate the max-n accuracy.
Thank you.
Maybe it's easier if people raise the hand so that we know the order as well of the questions. Yeah. Yes, Lawrence, please go ahead.
Thank you. Thanks, Filippo, for the talk. Very interesting. And I think we might try to give it a try. We've been developing Deep Sea Brev. And my question is, have you ever tested the SharkTrack on low light environments? And do you also have had already sightings of very big individuals? And is the detection working properly when the shark take a big part of the frame. Thank you.
Yeah. So as for the big individuals, it does work. As for low light conditions, we have tested it in cameras working at night. It does have an accuracy drop, again, like in turbid water, so around 10%. But it's still around 80% accurate. So hopefully it should work also with deep sea browse.
Okay, thanks a lot.
And also just to add on top of that, in case there is an accuracy drop that just doesn't make it useful, then it's interesting to consider how to retrain the model with some of those deep sea images, as explained at the end of this talk, to then boost its accuracy in your specific use case.
Yes, Asta.
Hi, Filippo, and greetings here from Australia. It's Friday evening and dinner time, so not sure how many people are joining, but I'm sure a lot of people will be very excited about this talk, and we'll make sure people watch it. So my question was, you said that people could use the results in your, like, to train the species models. Does it mean that the whole pipeline already has the libraries inbuilt, or is it something, is there a framework to train my species model if I am not very good at knowing how to do that? Or is that something that people would have to do it themselves?
It is something that people would have to do it themselves. But I totally agree with you that we should provide a framework to easily do that. It is interesting because there is a really fine line between allowing customizability, which is needed when developing AI models, but also making it as intuitive for people who might not have the expertise to develop these models. So it is something that we're exploring, and if you're interested, or if anyone is interested, please reach out.
Well, so, we had with Katerina, we did that simple course where we showed people, and it's all online on Google Colab, how you could use if you have a data set, like very simple libraries, it's all there. So I don't know that, but that's very simple. So you might want to, that are not 2 years old, but it might be useful just as a framework to start with.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Jolien, I'm not sure I'm pronouncing it correctly.
Yes, hi. Thank you, Filippo, for your very interesting talk. I was wondering if there are any differences in accuracy for different groups of species, because we're thinking of using BRUF systems within the North Sea, and there we have a lot of ground sharks, which have a bit of a different form. So I was wondering if you see any differences in accuracy for different groups of species that look a bit different morphologically.
Sure. So I think there's two aspects that affect the model in this use case. Firstly, the difference between pelagic and benthic. So pelagic is just videos in the middle of the sea. Benthic is videos on the seafloor. The model has been trained on videos from both, so the accuracy is consistent across them. The second point is on the different morphological shape. And yes, so the model struggles with different morphologies, but the accuracy drop is actually not huge. Let me give you an example. For example, we tested the model with videos in the Maldives that hadn't been seen before, and those videos had many nurse sharks. And the nurse shark, when they are feeding, they twist their bodies quite a lot. And we saw that the model sometimes was getting it wrong or was confusing two twisted bodies, nurse sharks, as just one. But then overall, we noticed that that performance drop was less than 5%. And so hopefully it should work also in videos of the North Sea.
Thank you.
Thanks. And Lothar?
Can everyone hear me? Well,
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, thank you very much, Filippo. Really good talk, and I can imagine how difficult it must have been to generalize the model, because that's also something that I've been struggling with. So well done on that. I wanted to know if you have tested the model on different camera sensors. So instead of using, I assume, GoPros that is often used for browse, use it on a different camera sensor, and how well does it perform?
Sure. So we have tested them only on browser, but we have trained the model on compressed versions of those browse videos. Oh, sorry, we have tested it only on GoPro's videos, but we have trained the model on compressed versions of those videos. So what that means is that we have ensured that the model training is not tied to the codec and to the format of the videos coming from GoPro, but the model pre-processes the videos coming in, then put them in all in the same format.
Thank you. Yeah, that's very cool though. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, Lawrence.
Sorry, me again. Just another, so you presented the application has been developed for Brave, right? Do you think it might be eventually useful to analyze some other type of video, for example, videos that would be taken on board to identify, for example, bycatch on board fishing vessels? Do you think that would be something easily transferable to this kind of videos?
Just a clarification, you mean put them above the water, like on the deck to monitor the catch?
Yeah, but yeah. Or to have the to have the video outside of the water, but eventually the shark within the water still, or on board the fishing vessel.
So the model works with any underwater stationary video. Browse is just the use case where we tested it. Having said this, the videos need to be underwater. So it wouldn't work with videos taken from above the water, or even videos taken from above the water looking at the shark from above the surface.
Okay, thank you.
May I just ask a follow-up question on that? So then, is there any plans to address that domain shift issue, so that where it's maybe possible to scrape some data from the internet and so on, so that the model, and then retrain the model, that it could work on like a different domain where it's on board, on a vessel, or when people catching sharks at the beach, which is obviously not the best thing ever, but is it possible to then for the consortium to get together to train a model that generalizes across different domains too?
Yeah, for sure. So from my side, that's super interesting, and actually that's what I'm trying to lead to with this last slide of this presentation. Basically, and let's imagine we want to work towards that direction. One potential avenue that we could explore is just using the model as it is for those new tasks. For sure, it's not gonna perform perfectly, but at least it's gonna detect individuals in some cases, and then annotating that would then allow us to retrain the model. And doing this cycle a couple of times, so we'll end up with a model that's also robust to this step. So it's kind of like, imagine using a preliminary model to then train a new model faster, instead of starting from scratch.
Can I ask one last question? What was the size of the training data, more or less, like just the number of training proposals that you used to generate for the Elasmo rank model?
It was around 10,000 instances.
Yeah, I was going to ask the same question. What's the size of the training set and the testing set? And it's image based or video based?
It's image-based. So basically, the common practice when you're developing models that analyze even videos is to extract frames from the videos and then annotate those frames and train the model. And then even a model that analyzes videos, what it's doing it under the hood in reality is just taking a frame every X time of the video and then analyzing that frame. So it's always image-based.
Yeah, thanks. I missed your answer on answering the size of the training set.
It's 10,000 instances.
Great, thanks.
I was looking at the chat, and there is one question by Erkan, and he asks about the advantage, what's special about the model to achieve 20 times speed. So can you give us I guess some example of how they can be applicable?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So usually analyzing 1 hour of graphs takes around 1 hour. In our test, the analyst took on average 42 minutes to analyze to analyze 1 hour of graphs in all the different locations. With this pipeline, you can process graphs automatically overnight, and then you can analyze them in 1.4 minutes for every hour of video. So there's kind of a difference between doing it in 1.4 minutes and 42 minutes, which provides a big speed up. So to give you an example, we worked with an NGO in Mexico that had a couple of hundred of hours of videos of graph studies. And this is something that you can do over 2 days. You just leave a machine running for the first day, and then in 2 hours of the second day, you analyze all of it. And it just allows you to get graphs analyzed much faster, and then frees up time to invest into more sampling and then more analysis.
Yeah, that's a great tool. Yeah. I think next is Scarlett.
Hello from Thailand. First of all, thank you for so much great work. This feels like a dream. I think I've said so many times, why isn't there something that can do brubs for us? So I'm super excited to get going and using this. Just a quick question, when you were saying the annotation step that we would do, if it's all one species, you just write the species name, and then it can go in for the analysis for Maxent. I guess just more questions. If there is multi-species, what will we do? Secondary, could it take like, black tip reef 1, black tip reef 2, if we have multiple photos within the same one, or how does that data processing work?
Oh, sorry, I didn't get the last question.
Oh, sorry. Just in your example, you basically had like 5 different pictures of 5 different species. If we're using this, I'm going to have many, many pictures of the same species. Do I basically just write, say, like black tip reef, each single one, and then it will be able to pick up? I think normally my computer will not allow for like the exact same file name. So can it take like black tip 1, black tip 2, black tip 3?
Yeah, so really cool question. 2 answers for it. First of all, the most on the most basic analysis, if you have, let's imagine, all detections of black tips, you can rename them all as black tip, and it's not going to have the same file name. That's because, as you can see here, I hope you can read it. I know it's like quite small, but the file name always starts with a number, and that's the ID of the track. This is the ID. You see ID 0, and so the file name starts with the ID, and this should be kept in the file name. So when I name the species, I only rename what's after the file name, saying silky. So if all of them are silky, then that's okay. I'm just gonna put silky to all of them, and they're gonna still have their unique identifier to prevent this problem that you just mentioned.
Okay, perfect. I think I just missed that when you first showed that screen. So I was like, oh no, how is this going to work?
But also, just to finish, if you have only one species, then there is just no point in annotating all of them equally. You can just save so much time because you don't need to annotate the species of any of them. You just need to go through all of the screenshots, remove the ones where the model got it wrong. So ones where the model thinks it's a shark or ray, but it's actually an algae or a bag or another fish. And then just don't need to classify them. You compute the max n, and then the max n is going to tell you what's the max n of elasmobranchs. But then you know that that elasmobranchs means the only species that you have in your video.
Perfect. Then I guess my second question would be, what happens if we have two different species in the same frame?
In that case, you will have two screenshots. So just like me saying, oh, I found these two sharks, 1 and 2.
Perfect. You've thought of it all. Okay, that's my only questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jolene?
Yes, hi. I was wondering how the model can handle underwater structures, such as oil and gas platforms, offshore wind farms, or rocks, or wrecks, for example. Is it a problem, or did you test it in any of the different environments?
That's super interesting. So we tested it on many benthic environments. So it is robust to rocks, and it's also robust to individuals that are occluded by rocks. So if there's only like a bit of a tail or a bit of a shark snout coming from a rock, it detects it. We have never tested it with underwater boats or like or structure. So I would really be interested in knowing how it performs in there. So if you're just using it in that use cases, just feel free to shoot me an email. I would really be interested in that.
Yeah, if we got our BRUFs operational and we have some fun footage, I will definitely reach out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Kennedy?
Yeah, thanks for that talk. I just wanted to follow up on just related question. Did you test the model on different detection ranges? Because sometimes you get a BRAV landing with a very good field of view, and then you're able to see far away. So did you, in any case, test the model on different detection ranges?
By detection ranges, do you mean water visibility?
Ideally, the distance from the BRAV to where the shark would be seen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So the model is quite robust into detecting sharks that are far away in the distance, even ones that are occluded. And so even ones that are poorly visible because they are quite far away. Funnily enough, we saw that in that 7% of cases where the model outperformed human analysts, the majority of them were this use case. And also, having said that, we have also trained and tested the model into varying levels of water visibility, from very, very poor visibility to amazing blue oceanic clear water visibility.
Okay, thanks.